Well, it's on the right along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Right Along Live, it's the real deal.
Grenadians, you asked for change, and we are bringing the change. Change is a we thing, but change requires a contribution from all of us. Remember, one cocoa fills the basket. Make a contribution to NDC's grassroots campaign for change today. Click the link below to make your contribution. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, one and all? Welcome to Ride Along Live for today, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday on the ride. How you guys doing? As you're coming, go ahead and share the thing. Alice Gibson, how you doing? Let me first say that I have to welcome my new technical operator. I'm excited about this one, guys. My new technical operator happened to be my son, right? And he is managing all the operation from behind the scenes today. And I'm a proud father today, I'm telling you. So everybody say hi to Jacoby. Jacoby is on master control. Jacoby's running the show today, guys. So big up Jacoby when I'll get a chance. Margaret, how you doing? Big up yourself, thank you. Pearl. Yeah. Keisha, thank you so much. Come in, share, and say I share, because we're about to chat. And before we go any further again, guys, I have to say happy International Women's Day to all the beautiful women around the world. I love you. Women. You make the world go round. Telling all you. Women, big up yourself. Every single female, woman, mother, big up yourself. All right, happy International Women Day. You see Kobe getting out of big up, you know. Hillary saying hi to Kobe. See. Kobe's doing his thing. Yes. Hello, Jacoby. Good evening to you. Cassie Maguire, how you doing? Thank you so much. Marisa Hawkins over there on YouTube. Thank you so much for checking us out. Let me go ahead and share one more time, guys. Wow. I don't understand this. Jacoby's getting more big up than me today, boy. Jacoby, you see that? Chef Williams bigging you up. Everybody bigging up Jacoby. All right, guys. So today we're gonna have this conversation, this discussion. It seems to be like an ongoing problem that is plaguing our community. And I ain't say it is happening now, or it just started to happen. It's something that I believe has been happening for a long time. Um, it has just been captured more now and put out in the public. But this particular incident that we saw yesterday, it really didn't sit good with me and a lot of people. And people seem to have a difference of opinion on what transpired. So to join me in this conversation today, guys, is all of our viewing audience around the world. And also, he's no stranger to the ride. They are no stranger to the ride. They are friends of the ride, youth leader, and he say he's a guru at what he do, Mr. Joel Greenidge. Joel, just give them a little hi. Joel Greenidge, it's my boy,
Hello,
right?
hello everyone. Hello everyone. Before we start, Junior, I just want to join you and also echo the same sentiment. Happy International Women's Day to the phenomenal women out there who continue to make a difference in our communities. Hats off to you. One love, peace.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And of course, he's also a family. He is Dwight. How you doing, Dwight? How you doing, sir? Dwight, speak because I hear you, not Dwight. Okay, Dwight, go back out and come back in.
I
Your audio. Okay, yeah.
no. It was. I think I was muted there for a second.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good night, and I want to join with the colleagues and say a very happy International Women's Day to the very extraordinary women and girls all over the world. As Junior said, you guys make the world spin. If it
Yeah,
wasn't
man.
for you, Lord have mercy, we don't
Yeah.
know what we would do.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine life without women?
Right? Some things I don't want to imagine.
Yeah.
I can't.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Can't imagine at all. But so, guys, listen. We are here as yes, we are here as fathers, and I am here as a proud father because, as I said, my son Jacoby, he's running the show today. He's behind the scenes and he is managing everything. And I'm a proud father today. And I did a series of video speaking out on parenting and fathers playing a role. And after I did that video yesterday, another video emerged again right after that, about minutes after that. I want to play back this video, and then we could all react to this video in kind of real time and get your guys' feedback on it. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but take a look at it, guys. This is a video that went viral yesterday. Check it out. So, as I said, this video made this wrong on social media yesterday, and went viral. Have a lot of people talking about it. So let's get your reaction. Let's start with Joel. Joel, you in Grenada. You're on the ground. What's your reaction to this video when you first saw it?
Well, personally, for me, I was actually surprised how the situation quickly escalated. And I have different view. While I condemn the action of the student, and I believe that he should be reprimanded for his actions. I didn't think that that situation should have actually gone that far. I think that situation could have been de-escalated if the officers initially in their approach have used some tact and some level of emotional or even social intelligence. I felt that same young man, he had peers around him, and I felt, he was actually embarrassed to an extent based on how the police initially handled the situation. So, in my opinion, I believe that we tend to react too much when things happen. I mean, the fact that the police had put up a barricade there to prevent young people from maybe going wherever they were going is as a result of people coming on social media and talking about young kids being behind the mall and all of those stuff. We tend to react. Does that solve the problem, the deep-rooted problem that exists in our society? The fact is that these young people have nowhere to go after school. There's no extracurricular activities. There's no positive alternatives in their community. We have a serious issue in our society where a lot of young people are misguided, and sometimes young people, sometimes their aggressive outbursts or aggressive action is some sort of way of them asking for help. And if you look at most of these young people who engage in those sort of practices, if you really go back into the communities and you see the homes that they come from, they're coming from homes where there's deep socioeconomic challenges. They're coming from home where there is dysfunction, and they don't really have, in the communities, the level of role models that we once had as a little boy, where their community came together and helped to raise children and to support them in the absence of their parents not able to provide that level of support. So, in my opinion, this is part of a deep-rooted issue. What we've seen is just the effects, but we need to get to the cause of some of those societal issues, or even the level of the defiance in most of those young people today.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Dwight, what's your initial reaction when you got a chance to see that video?
Well, yeah. Good night again, everybody. I actually was scrolling down through social media, and I saw it on the platform of Pineapple Media and Communications. I hope I have that right. Um, and at first, I was taken aback. I was taken aback, but then I began to think, and I want to agree with Joel in what he's saying, because um, I think that what transpired in the town of St. George, and subsequently other videos that have been gone viral, is is more than what meets the eye, and I think it's a three-factorial um, uh, breakdown in our society that is happening there. Because when you look at it, when you look at it, children don't wake up one morning and decide to all of a sudden be bad, or wake up one morning and decide, well, I am going to misbehave. There are factors that leads up to. There are factors that contribute to. Um, so the lack of social interactions, after school programs, etc. I remember when I was a boy in Presentation College, we have had after school clubs that we had to take part in. Mr. Dominic Jeremiah, well respected gentleman, ensured that we were a part of at least one or two extracurricular activities at the end of the school day. Either it was the chess club, it was it was the scouts, or the Duke of Edinburgh, or one of those activities that we had to participate in. Um, and then you had activities on the community level also. I don't know where those have gone. There were community centers that were built. Today I actually sent some messages out, and I understand that most of our community centers in Green are either lying in ruins or just there as an ornament in the community, just to say we have a community center. And then there is the approach or the side from the church or religious standpoint. Um, where you are encouraged to be a part of church and all of that, and some way somehow that help in terms of your whole holistic development. And then there's the other side, the homes, and I continue to stress that the question is, what homes are these children coming from? And I remember when I was a member of the youth parliament in Grenada many years ago. um we had a youth parliament debate around pregnancy, and so we knew that in a matter of years, that we are going to have children who had children. It was something that was happening. It wasn't something that's new. It was something that had existed. But the question is, what did we put in place with it? What did we to help these children become parents? And I know that the Ministry of Department, and some people would say the Ministry of Department of Youth, whichever, I'm not sure what it is now, they would have had programs. You know, I remember back then we had the guys on the block program and so on and so forth. I'm, but what structures were put in place to help these children become parents? If you can stop the fire one way, you have to direct the channel into a way that is going to either out or be controlled. And I think not enough has been done. Enough have been done in order to curb the problem of children who become parents and have to raise children on their own. They have the support, the moral support. They have the community support. The church, civil society. Where are all of these the support structures that is needed, you know, to ensure that these children grow up and become productive members of our society?
And I want to agree with you both on the topic of having things in place to assist with the upbringing of these children, right? Because Joel said it right. I don't think that this child woke up today and just decided to, be that way and against the police. I think that it's a deeper underlying issue, right?
Yeah.
It's a bigger problem. And I did a video right before that video came out, and I was speaking about where are the parents in these situations, and them. And sometimes, if you look deep into, and you carve out all the different stories, you would see probably there is some deep problems inside that he's dealing with, some issues. And I don't know the gentleman at all, but where is that anger and frustration coming from? And I believe that's what it is. It's a level of frustration and frustration that has been building up over a period of time.
Yeah, Junior, I remember a few weeks ago when the NDC would have launched their slate of candidates for the western corridor of the island, and there was so much talk about youthfulness or whatever the case may be. And I was having this conversation with who I deem to be a senior pastor in Grenada. I was having a conversation with him. I said to him this: the problem with having one political entity for so long is that comfortableness, I want to say that word candidly, steps in. And when you have programs, and I'm getting to a point, but let me get to the point. The point I'm making is poverty and the lack or inability to access certain things is one of the major problems we have for societal degradation in Grenada. And I make that point very strongly. Poverty or the lack of access to is the major problem that we have for societal degradation in Grenada. And I say this with no apology, and I'll say why I say it. You created programs that will not give people the opportunity have extra enough to educate themselves. You created programs where young people could only have enough to pay bus and maybe to buy whatever height they need. And it's not a political statement. I want to make that clear. We have to create opportunity or avenues where people can break through the cycle of poverty. If your parents didn't have enough to give you growing up, you should be able to have a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance, whichever chance, to be able to break the cycle. If you are a teenage mother, if you get pregnant at 14, your life has not stopped. It hasn't ended. Sorry for the inappropriate English, but life continues. You should be able to be able to continue schooling and be able to obtain an education, right? We have St. George's University right there on our doorstep. Opportunities for education, and that is the only way the cycle of poverty will be broken. And I say this to say that a lot of the problems that we have, a lot of the anger and the frustration that we have today stems from parents who themselves are angry and frustrated, because I do not know any parent, any good parent, that doesn't have the ability to provide for their children in the way they really want to, that would not be angry and frustrated.
Yeah, and
Let's be real with it.
that bleeds on to onto the kids. Joel, you spoke about
Yeah.
de-escalation. You spoke about de-escalation, and I remember, Joel, it was just last year or so, or 2 years ago. You was in a situation. You was front and center in a situation where this situation got escalated. Let's look from the police perspective. What could the police could have done in this situation here to de-escalate this whole situation from happening the way how it unfolded?
So for me, basically what I saw, there was like the police had blocked off the area, right? And I realized that young man was insisting that he actually wanted to pass based on what I'm seeing in the video, right? I think the police could have had a calm, pull him aside away from all the crowd and ask him, have a conversation with him, right? Where are you trying to go? What is the problem? Try to have a conversation, because something a simple conversation, and not a conversation from the point of view that I'm an authority figure and this is what's going to happen, and regardless of what you say, have a amicable conversation and listen. Sometimes that's what leadership is about. Being a police, you're a leader in the community, and it's not just you're going to come with a heavy-handed approach, or you're going to be with an aggressive or firm approach. Sometimes you just have to listen, and I think just giving that young man a listening ear and just having an amicable conversation, this could have easily be resolved, right? And look at it, there were 3-4 police around that young man. I didn't think this thing had to escalate to that point. That's my honest opinion. I have been in communities before where there were incidents where a person was screwing up the fight, or there was one person displaying an aggressive behavior, and just a simple conversation, you solve an entire problem from happening there. That could have easily escalated, because something what young people need is a listening ear. Some young people are home, their parents are giving them a listening ear. There's no one in the community they can talk to. They're going through so much pain, and sometimes all they need is a listening ear. And as you said, what happened today shows that this young man has been going through a lot. And I don't think he even reacted to the situation with the police. I think there was months or years of pain and hurt and aggression and frustration building up in him. And this just provided the opportune moment for him to react. I think maybe right now, as his energy would have subsided and he's looking back at the whole situation, he might be very much disappointed in himself. It was just in the moment. And I really empathize with a lot of those young men and young women in the society. They're going through a lot, coming out from the trauma of this pandemic for 2 years. I mean, you saw in countries where people who were educated or intellectuals, they committed suicide. They couldn't face it, right? Some of them committed suicide. Just imagine what is the trauma that a lot of those young people are facing, having been locked away for almost 2 years in their home, haven't been engaged in positive alternatives in their community, or social activities, or even just entertainment, for example, which is one of the vehicles that a lot of young people use to channel their energy, because our young people have a bus of energy. We haven't had intercall in almost 2 years. There's no sporting events. There's no community events. There's nothing happening. So what do we expect for young people to do with that bus of energy that they have? Right. So we need to really dig deeper. And, these things, Junior, what is happening right now is just, I would say, it makes what happened 10, 15 years ago look like nothing. I remember as a little boy growing up in St. Davis, there was a Ginger Crew gang. There were the Bloods gang. They were not sizing up police. They were taking police guns from. There was a level of aggression. There was violence. Just think about it. It was bloody. I mean, they will go anywhere and just do what they wanted. But you know what happened? I had an opportunity to sit down and speak to most of these young men in the gangs, even some of them who have even come from prison after serving time for murder. And you know, during that period, Junior, there was one guy told me, he said, Joel, you knew during that time, when I wear my boxers in the night, I have to wash it because that's the same boxers I have to get the next day to use the next morning. When you heard these young men open up and you start to listen to them and you understand what they were going on, their violent action was a cry for help, was a cry
Yes.
for someone to listen to them without prejudgment, right? And I remember these guys, they used to come by me, we'll sit down, we'll cook, I listen to them. I remember one time I took one of those guys, he was the leader of the gang, he was influential, but I knew he could make dal very well. How I knew that? Because I listened. I was young, but I listened. You know what I did? I went to town, I bought the basket, what it does, put the dal in, I bought the foil, and I gave him the ingredients. He made his first set of dye, he go down on the block, he sells it. You started to empower him. He started again. There was one guy who was very much interested in doing incense. I bought his first stock for him. So he was going on the road and selling the incense. He started to feel empowered. You understand? He started to feel empowered. And what these young people lack right now, I remember during the time in St. David's at the time, there was the Vincent Sports and Cultural Club. I remember some of these same guys going and play football in little tournaments. That was an opportunity for them to channel their negative energy. You know what happened to most of these community groups and organizations? They are no longer functioning. These community organizations played a very important role, bringing young people together and getting them involved in positive alternatives in the community. Look at some of those communities. They don't even have a community center. And even those that have community center is occupied by the church. For example, right now, I was just engaging some young men in Calavini. You know, the oldest community center in Calavini, who is occupied by the church, where it should be a community center for the community, for young people to go there after school. You should have a community library, a resource center. It should be a safe space. Also, Junior, CARICOM would have emphasized the need for youth-friendly spaces across the CARICOM region. Youth-friendly spaces where young people can go and interact in a friendly, youth-friendly sort of environment that is safe, and they can really connect with and share in positive activities within that space. Junior, the fact that young people are going behind the mall or going on the stone, what that says to you, there's no youth-friendly spaces where young people say, okay, after school, I can go to this youth-friendly space, I can meet friends, we could talk, we can engage in positive activities, and we can get to channel some of our creative energies. None of these things exist, Junior. And that's the reality.
John George said, and he's directing it, I guess, to Joel. He said that, Mister, you don't know what you're talking about. Did you look at the way that the young man was acting while the officer careless, acting with the officer careless of what? You have to respect the law, and you are supporting wrong. Did the officer, and a lot of times we put the blame on officers, right? And we and I hear a lot of people saying, well, the officer was right in this instant because the officer felt like he was attacked. Although I look at it from an officer perspective and the student perspective, I believe that if that was the case and the student was becoming rowdy, was it difficult to just put him in cuff and lay cool long for a while? Would have been too extreme, instead of having a toe-to-toe back and forth with him? If the situation became to the point where he was punching and thumping and cuffing, would have been too rash to put that student in a handcuff or just calm him down in some kind of way? Do you think that would have been inappropriate to do at the time?
I mean, sometimes, as I said, it could have been restrained quite easily. Yeah, I mean, there were 3 police officers. Look at this video, Julia, very closely. 3 police officers, one stand. They could have actually contained that situation quite easily. I didn't think it had to escalate to that point. I'm not condemning the actions of the young man, and I made it very clear in the beginning that the actions was not right. But also, I'm stating that it could be part of a bigger problem in a society. That's what
Right.
I said exactly. Yeah. And the fact is, Junior, today we have social media. Everyone has a cell phone with a camera. But there's somebody said people who are speaking right now I am certain that if we had cameras back in the days, some of them today would be ashamed to open their mouth.
Indeed.
Yeah. I heard someone make the
Junior, I
announcement.
wanted,
But before you
I
go on,
wanted to,
let me just say we want you guys to engage in this conversation. So Kobe, put the number up on the screen. We want you guys to call in and participate in this conversation. The phone line is going to be open throughout the program because there are a lot to discuss on this topic. We don't want to leave you guys out. The number that you call on WhatsApp or direct is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Want your input on this topic, you can call at any time. Go ahead, Dwight.
yeah. I want to. To me, I think that both student and police officers should be held accountable in this regard. Um, we and I actually had a conversation with Mr. Raymond Matthews today, the Beast, after I made a post on Facebook. Many years ago when I was in school, not many so much, but when I was in a boy at Presentation College, you see yellow come in, you know it's time to do it. You see bees come in, you know it's time to do it. Kutain, you know it's time to do it. They didn't have to tell you go. Once you see them coming, you know what time it is. The point I'm making is, over the years, uh, some of these officers, and I know my uncle died earlier this year. Some of these officers uh, um, that are in the force now are pretty young officers, pretty young fellas, and um, you have to ask yourself, have even they overcome whatever the challenges that they are faced with? Um, have they been effectively trained in conflict resolution? Have they been effectively trained in de-escalating situations? Have they been given any sort of training in terms of of helping them, psychosocial counseling, whatever it is, to help them? The problem is, and a lot of times we take bullies and we put them in uniform and we call them police. I'm not saying that is a situation. I'm saying that you don't know, what these people behind or outside of the uniform deals with, as well as the student, what the student deals with at home, what he deals with in the community. I looked at the video. There are other students did. Does he have something to prove? Did he feel, did the actions of the police make him feel inferior among his peers? All of those questions need to be asked. But one of the things that we can be absolutely certain of is that the situation was badly and poorly handled by both individuals, right? And I want to agree with Joel. In a situation where you realize as an officer in uniform that this student is becoming rowdy or is becoming angry, because anger doesn't just flip, it builds. Take him away. Put him in the police vehicle. Cause I've seen this happen several times as a boy in Presentation College, even after I've gone on, before I migrated. You
Right.
put them in the police vehicle, you take them over to Central, or you take them to wherever their parents working, or you take them home. Whatever it is that you could have done as an officer to de-escalate the situation needed to happen. The point of the matter is that you did not. You engaged in whatever activity, you matched the anger of the student, and he's not thinking the way you are thinking as an adult. No, I do not support any student becoming violent with a officer of the law. And as I said on my Facebook profile today, children fight with children, adults fight with adults. So if you're an adult in uniform and choose to fight with an officer, as we are saying in local parlance, what you get, you go take. But then at the same time, we have to ensure that we put structures in place. I keep saying we got to put structures in place to deal with both sides of the fence.
Terry Frame is saying, stop trying to be diplomatic and making excuse for the young man for the young boy, under no circumstances a school child should be reacting in such a manner. Joel?
I disagree.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
disagree.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you why I disagree. No, I agree that no student should react in this manner. Absolutely,
Right.
never should happen. But at the very same time, you cannot match anger with anger and expect to get a peaceful resolution.
Right.
You cannot. And then, Junior, there's a trend. There's a trend. There's a trend that I've seen happen. It's been happening for a lot of years, where the respect for adults in the community. This is where it started. Though. Now, as a young boy, primary and secondary school, I could not pass an adult in my village and not say good morning or good evening or hello, and I had to call them by the name, because by the time I leave that adult and I get to my house, my mother, my grandmother don't know I passed so and so down there and didn't say good morning, and that belt and that whip is waiting for me. In the same breath, I believe that we have to go back to those days where we teach our children the fundamentals of respect. They must respect their elders, their teachers, their principal. But when you have that influx of music out of wherever, Jamaica, wherever, that that tells young people, you give put all these ideas in there, and you can't defeat it. Music will always be there. What you need to do is to counter it by telling them what the right is, and let them make a judgment call based on the information that they have. If they only have one side of the coin and they don't have the other, they obviously don't have much to go with, right? And I believe that need to begin to teach our children, and even in the school system, what it means to be respectful. I think Junior getting knocked off.
It so appears.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're still live.
Huh?
I wonder if we're still live.
Yeah, we are.
Seemed like Junior got locked off. Oh yeah, Junior got cut off.
I see somebody saying that stop blaming music, we have choices, and of course we do have choices. We all have choices, Joel. But imagine when you and I were in school, and you see yellow or you see Kutain coming down the road. You're not stopping.
But
you know for a fact.
But quite interestingly, some people are saying that that we are making excuses for the action of the young man. And even though we clearly stated that we condemn the actions, it was inappropriate, it was wrong, but we are saying that while that should not be just looked at an issue in isolation. It should be looked at part of a broader society, because these things are not what is happening to the police. Some of these young people are displaying the same behavior in the community, and some of these same parents and them that are talking about students being ill-disciplined. Some of these same students or young people are coming from their homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many back in the days, I remember as a kid in the community, if you did something wrong or you were doing something wrong and you saw someone in your community coming,
Boy,
you don't even, they don't even have to tell you nothing. You actually stop right to it. You
Exactly.
understand? But today, some of these said adults in the community, the young people don't respect them because they have not demonstrated that they're worthy of the respect. They themselves are being disrespectful to those young people. We have a situation in the society where there's no heroes in your community. There's nobody that young people want to model themselves after. They don't even want to model themselves after some of their own parents. So you know where they find their role models? In, as you rightfully said, some of the music artists, some of them celebrities.
Yep.
That's where they find those are people who are the heroes, and they model their behavior after them. So we cannot look at
Yeah.
the situation in isolation. We cannot overlook the fact that the moral fiber of a society has been decayed. We cannot overlook the fact that there's dysfunction homes. We cannot overlook the fact that a lot of young people are coming from situations where they're going through quite a lot, and therefore
And,
they need that sort of support system to be in place to help them.
and that's what I keep asking. Where is the structure? Because you see, and Joe, the thing is, we're not saying what the young man did is right. He's dead wrong. He is dead wrong. However, we need to look at this from a holistic standpoint. We can only solve the issue if we look at it from all sides and not just from a biased side. And interestingly so, the theme for International Women's Day today is what? Break the bias. Um, and so we need to look at it from a holistic standpoint. We have a problem where even in our churches, it seems as if everybody's interested in leadership and no one is interested in becoming disciples. And that has consumed so much of the church's time, so much of politics inside the church that it's literally crazy. And you said earlier that almost in every community center across the Triad state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, you will find a church in a community center. No, there's no problem with that. But how much work is these churches, these small pop-up churches, are doing in the community? How much are they working with their families? The parents who doesn't have the level of education, how much are they working with these parents, the struggling parents? And then you have the whole issue of the school, where a lot of prior to teaching was a career loved by, and people actually did it for the love of it. These days, it's just a job, like every other thing else. And people don't invest the level of time and effort into developing and molding the next generation as used to be. That's another issue. And then the home.
Yeah,
The home.
but Dwight, let's look at it. Let's look at it from the standpoint, right, of some of these same parents who are even on their life, who are criticizing the young man, while as we stated earlier, what he did was wrong. But you know what's the major problem, the big problem in this situation? We are talking about discipline, right? We are talking about building communities. We are talking about putting systems in place to ensure that young people are properly nurtured, they're properly developed, and all the necessary discipline is instilled in them. The respect for authority figures, the respect for their peers, the respect for the elderlies, right? The respect for themselves, right? You know, Dwight, if you as an adult in a community saw a child doing something wrong and you were to discipline that child, and that child goes home to tell their parents, you know what is happening? That is the
Yes.
same parents who coming after you,
Yes,
right?
sir.
The same parents who's coming after you. You feel if
Mhm.
as a boy I did something wrong in the community and I was disciplined by someone in the community, you feel I would go home and tell my mom about it? No,
That's
that's like
double it.
double punishment. You understand what I'm saying?
Double punch. Yes,
So,
indeed.
but
Indeed.
not also that. Back in the days, there were people in the community who took it on their own. They were volunteering their efforts to help to upbring, to nurture, to
Yep.
engage young people in a positive. I remember there was this gentleman, Mr. Nat Simpson. I will never forget him. While we were on vacation, I mean, he knows at the time we have all the free time in the world, and that is the time when young people engage in a lot of, delinquent behaviors because there's nothing else to do, right? He volunteered his time every single day. Every morning we had to come to the playing field to engage in football. We'll do cooks, and he used that as an opportunity to share his journey, to share his experience, to instill discipline, to motivate us, to keep us in check. I also remember there was this lady in the community, Miss Lalsi, who came and took
Mhm.
me under her wings as a little boy, right? And she was not related to me or anything, but there was that involvement. People are using their talents and their skills to help to nurture and to develop young people. And if they saw there was a situation where your parents were struggling and they could not have helped, right? I remember the time when I was going to the Methodist school. Miss Lalsey was the one who told my mom she was going to pay, and they transferred me from the Methodist school and sent me to a private school. She paid for it because she felt I needed some more attention, and the private school will give me, you understand, that level of attention. It was those people who were coming to the rescue of young persons in the community and helping us. We were not just quick to judge, but these people were quick to come beside you and say, I am on this journey with you. How can I help? Right? And you came to the point where you never wanted to disappoint that person. You understand? There was a level of respect for that person, and you really took their advice. So at the end of the day, we have to look at this thing from a holistic standpoint. Because yes, this situation may happen today, but we are hearing many other incidents happening of violence happening. Even recently, we heard there was a homicide, right? And we are seeing that trend emerging, that level of aggression and violence among young people. So shouldn't we agree that this could be part of a deep-rooted problem that is now happening across our country? Are we just going to look at this situation in isolation because it was just a police involved? But let's look at it all over the country. It's happening. All over the country is happening right now, where young people are just angry, they're upset, and the only way they know how to deal with the anger is violence and to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I got
welcome back, Junior.
I gotta say thank you, guys. This would be like an audition for who should be the next host of Ride Along. You guys did a great job. I didn't even want to come back. I should have just gone to my house. But no, thank you. What happened is I have a system here that continues to crash every time. I don't know why, but the problem has fixed. In the meantime, I've been getting a lot of calls off air. So I want to bring somebody call on air right now. Let's jump to the first call. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, I just want to put my input on a bit because I'm a mother of two boys.
Your phone kind of breaking up a bit. Your phone kind of breaking up a bit.
I just want to put my input because I'm a mother of two boys, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, what I noticed when I looked at this video, there is a bigger video on many times.
I'm having a little bit of an issue hearing you, caller. Hold on. Are you on speaker?
No, not on speaker.
We're having a little bit of an issue hearing you. I don't know if you want to hang up and call back again. We're hearing you. It's kind of breaking up a bit.
You hear me better now?
Okay, go ahead. We'll try to bleed our ears and hear it. Go ahead.
Right. So the officer at first, the shutter officer used high because it was short and tall. The shutter officer was alone at first with the young man.
Uh-huh.
Now the other officer noticed that his colleague needed help. He needed assistance, so he ran over to kind of keep the thing from escalating. But I took it as the young man, he just had a rage and all that, so he needed to explode. So the other officer coming in the moment, they didn't even stop him or they didn't even calm him down to make him see that, oh, there's two police, so I cannot behave myself. The situation got worse, right? That's when he started chopping and pushing and so on. So, I mean, yes, the situation escalated. He didn't want it to escalate like that. But the numbers in police didn't even stop the young man from the way he did, you understand? So, I believe parents, because I deal with children every day, so I know. Primary, secondary, whatever the children, you would get certain children at a level that you don't want them to, right?
Right.
But I have seen that there are a lot of children starting at the primary school level. The kind of things I hear they saying, the obscenities yesterday was used in my presence. I was shocked.
Right.
I couldn't wait for us to come to me so I can leave to go home. It's just mind blowing and it's getting worse. And when you tell a parent about a child behavior, most of them deny it. And I'm not telling you what I'm telling you things that I know. A lot of the parents deny their children behaviors. So it just tempts them to get worse. That's what's happening to our society. It's very sad. I am very sorry for our children. And we have to help them. We have to help them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate you.
You know, that's a beautiful contribution by that caller, Junior. Very beautiful conversation.
Yes. Yes. 718-701-5720. Continue to take your call here on this topic. What transpired just yesterday? The video went viral, and it's a very topical issue. And we want to look at solutions, and we'll come to that where we want to put in, as fathers, as parents, what kind of solutions, what kind of ideas we could bring forth for solutions. So that's what we want to work on as well, guys. Caller live, where you calling us from?
Good night.
Hey, yeah, hi, good night. Go right ahead. Hello? No. Caller, you're having a little bit of a bad connection.
Grenada.
Yeah, okay, go right ahead, caller.
Yeah, I look at the video.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a disciplined person, right?
Uh-huh.
I like disciplined children.
Uh-huh.
But the policeman supposed to cool down the those. He could have easily, this school the young man went to, he could have gone the next day and deal with the school. You remember a couple of years ago, a guy was
Okay, caller, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. We're having some real issues hearing you. I'm not sure if it's a connection, but we're having some issues hearing what you're saying. We lost our caller there. Let's jump to the next call. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Good evening. I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, Grenada.
All right. So what I want to do first and foremost, I want to look at the situation from all angles.
Right.
Sometimes we always quick to jump at a side.
Right.
Now, what I am saying, now the video we first saw started when the matter was already escalated. Today I happened to see a video that took it a little bit further. Now, the police and the child, in my opinion, both had flaws or shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
And now the police, I don't know what was transpiring with the child. However, I know that several evenings I've seen them dispersing with children from liming around the mall, which is a good initiative. However, the manner in which it is done, sometimes, depending on which officer is there, you understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Needs a lot to be desired. There's a particular officer, I can't remember what his name is. His name is Rennie or something like that. Once the children see him, they start to run. Now, there's this particular officer, he sees them in the corner and he shouts, "Hey, it's time for y'all to go home." Now, as a police officer, we need to understand that at times we need to exercise better judgment in the way we approach people, which many times leads to the reaction that escalates things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The school child, however, certainly has issues of anger. The fact that he's going to stand up and fight with this officer tells me that he has some amount of anger issue. He's lacking proper parenting, or something is wrong along the way. But I believe, in my opinion, as a person who deals with youths and children, there are times when there are children that other people say, "Oh, I can't talk to that child," and I can go on the way I approach them. You understand? You get a different results. So I believe that it could have been avoided, because if he wanted them to move, let's say, okay, none of us heard the conversation between them. If he said to them, "It's time for you to leave, move from here," then the child can choose to go to the terminal. He would not be wrong. Or if he has another destination in the opposite direction to go to, he still isn't wrong. Then the police can allow him to go and say to warn him, "If I see you back here, or if I see you around, then this could happen." But you can't tell him that he cannot go that direction based on the video. That's what it seems like. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And the young man didn't first attack the police. He was explaining something, and then he walked away. And he was then proceeded to be blocked and grabbed, and then all of them came in and whatever. So in my opinion, in dealing with this situation that we're already faced with because of a breakdown of society, which no one seems to want to take the blame with, we also cannot have arrogance meeting with what I would want to say ignorance, because the children are not taught how to behave or properly guided. You understand me?
Right.
So it takes not a blame game
Right.
from anyone. What it takes is a proper dissecting of the situation, and we
Yes.
can see where both parties are lacking,
Yeah.
and we can work towards avoiding these kinds of things. But to label all the children, and because there are incidents where they've been behaving unruly, we all gang it all together and then say because of this incident, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not necessary that that child may have been, but because of the manner in which it was approached, it brought out a certain kind of reaction that we could have avoided once we did it
Simple.
differently. That's just my take of it. I
Thank
don't
you.
think nobody is squarely to be blamed, but we need to dissect it and look at issues where we can combat and try to repair these breakdowns in a better way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, caller.
Junior, Junior,
Yes.
I just really want to applaud this caller, and I really happy that that caller is looking at this situation from a critical lens. Because when I made those points earlier, I saw some people in the comment section. They were very critical about me based on that perspective. But that
Yeah.
caller really, really put it into context. And I don't know if most of these people are looking at a different video, but from analyzing this video, it is very clear, that this situation could have been addressed quite differently and de-escalated. So I really want to thank the caller for a very extensive and very critical and analytical contribution.
All right, cool. Let's jump to the phone lines, and then we're going to go to the 536 number on the WhatsApp. First, the caller on the phone lines. Go right ahead.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, caller.
I'm calling from BVI.
Yes.
And I have been following the debate about that situation on Facebook. Right, I saw that situation, and then somebody.
Right.
And I really want to echo some of the sentiments that this young man, I think his name is Joel.
Yes.
Even though I see he's been criticized a lot on the chat because he might have had some, disagreement or altercation with the police, people seem to be holding it and criticizing him and not listening to the points that both of them are making. As the caller who just went on said, that situation could have very well been de-escalated.
Right.
I too, from what I gathered from the video, the young man was blocked from leaving the scene. You cannot hear anything in the video, so you don't know if they was exchanging words or if the policeman had asked him to stop, and he was just trying to leave or be aggressive or to show that he's a man. But I think part of our problem too, we train our police officers in the training school, right? And then we send them on the street. And we send them on the street to interact with people. And you all know we all grow up in different homes with different standards, different personalities, even within your own home. So these young men go out on the street and young women, and they try to engage these other young people, and everybody's temper is flaring. And what I've clearly seen in that video is the policeman's ego got the best of them because they did not want to be taken down by a young punk for lack of a better expression, Who is he to walk away when I'm talking to him? Or who is he to fight me? Or who. And I think we need to make sure that our officers are trained. Yes, they go through police training school, but they need to get extra training in how to deal with the public and how to de-escalate situations so that we do not have those situations that we are having in the street with officers brawling with students because you had 3 officers to 1 student. You want to tell me they couldn't restrain him without having to slap him down and push him down and it's just hard for me to watch because coming up through the years, I'm in my 50s, and we all know about police brutality and the things that happened in the past. And so it's really, really, really hard for me to watch that situation and not feel hurt by what that young man had to go through. And then the negativity he has to face now from the community. And don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning his behavior. I want to make that clear.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, our officers need to be trained properly. They are supposed to be trained and skilled people to deal in any situation. And it really should not have gotten to that point where that young man had to feel that he was fighting against the world and he had to defend himself. That's how I view the video. Was he wrong to attack the officer? Yes. But were they also wrong to beat him down? Yes, they were. There were three of them. They could have restrained him.
Right.
And they could have restrained him, even before, in my opinion, he pushed or slapped that first officer. Because you're not quite seeing the video well, so a lot of us are deducing, from what we are seeing, it may not necessarily be so. But again, the word de-escalate plays a very important role in that situation. And so I'm hoping that the police brass are taking this video and looking at it and look to use it as a training tool for the officers as opposed to a situation to arrest and charge and send this young man for, to prison or whatever, but use it as a training on how to not behave in situations of aggression, especially where he didn't have a weapon, or anything that would have been like a life-threatening situation at the time.
Right. Thank you,
Thank
caller.
you for allowing me.
We appreciate your contribution on this topic right here.
Exactly.
Junior,
Joel, let's jump to the phone lines again. We have a lot of calls. I wanna hear from the audience as well. We got a caller on the WhatsApp. Call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Okay, first off, you have to understand that cell phones are raising kids more than parents. You think about a child his age, when they go home, they're going to be spending more time with the cell phone than they spend with their parents. Their parents might talk to them for 2-3 minutes when they go home on a day. The majority of their time is spent in front of screen. And people don't realize that cell phones is what's raising children, not parents anymore. They're way more influenced by the things that they see on the internet. Secondly, the way those last two callers talk, I totally disagree with them. You had a youth that was killed in Grenville just over the weekend. You had a fella that lost his hand in St. Andrews as well. You also had another fight that took place in the back of the bus terminal. There's also a video for that with school children again, where one of them has a 14-inch blade. They pull out their waist. So as far as I'm concerned, this thing needs to be dealt with way more drastically. I think the police showed a lot of restraint, and that youth man should have been dealt with way more brutally. People need to respect authority. There's no matter what the police did there's no reason for that youth man to fight back with the police or try to even push them back, fight them back, or show restraint in any way whatsoever. Straight up.
All right, thank you, caller. We'll talk about that a little bit. Someone sent me some information. They said if this happened in a place like New York, that young boy would have been dead. If this happened in outside of Grenada, the police would have shot this guy. Right? Joel, on the topic of restraint and the topic of comply and complain, would that apply here? Like comply with the police and then complain after?
Junior, from an adult standpoint, you see, if you understand the characteristics of young people, they are not at that level of emotional intelligence as most adults are. Even we as adults, sometimes we fall short in terms of even the way we handle situations. So imagine young people who are going through that phase in their life and they are not at that level of emotional and social intelligence as yet. These are natural characteristics of young people. They tend, whenever they feel cornered in a situation, or whenever they feel that they're being embarrassed in any way, they react, they retaliate, and that's natural. It even happened among their peers. I remember there were cases when you were growing up and young people, your peers tell you, you're taking that, and then you just react, not even really thinking it through. As an adult, I mean, you may not do that now because you're at that certain level of emotional intelligence, but we cannot overlook that those simple facts. I believe the police could have actually, if they in this situation like that, they could have restrained him. I didn't think three police there. I didn't think that had to get to the point of an aggressive attack. They could have restrained him, hold him, and as you said, just take him away from the scene. I mean, something just a few minutes. I mean, even just bringing him somewhere, just a drive. Just having a isolated conversation. They might have unearthed so many different things that this young man was going through, and would have been able to help him. Junior, and that is the reality about it. I'm not saying that young people should disrespect police officers, but I'm saying we cannot look at this situation in isolation. We have to look at it from a broad perspective. So I'm not here promoting young people disrespecting authority figures, but I'm saying we need to look at it from a society, from a broad perspective, so that those situation does not repeat itself in the future. There's a lot of lessons to be learned from this, right? And we identified some of the possible issues that could have actually led to this young man getting to that place where he was able to have that, that outburst of anger.
Right. Let's jump back to the phone line real quick. Dwight, I know you need to say something on the topic. I'll come back to you, Dwight. Let me just jump on the phone line and come back to you, Dwight. Caller, you're live. Where you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Grenada.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I call earlier on. As I said before, I don't like the behavior of the young man, right? Mm-hmm. But between me and you, a police officer is trained. A police officer, I think all the police officers in the first place should do a course in martial art to control themselves. I looked at the video. I think the police could have restrained himself a little more. Remember, this is adolescence. A lot of people is talking like if this young man is a big grown-up young man already. Mm-hmm. And when you're there on your peers, Junior, mm-hmm. you don't like people to, as we say, you don't like people diss you. And between me and you, a couple of years ago, there was an incident with a police officer where he got himself cuffed up by a bus driver. All what the police officer had to do, he knew the school this young man going to. He could have just said, okay, I'm gonna go back in his school tomorrow. I will bring him to his principal and deal with him. The same thing could have happened a couple of years ago with the police officer who got punched up. He could have arrested this bus conductor the day after, mm-hmm. or later on in the afternoon. And so people is talking like if this youngster is an old man already, an old criminal already. This is a young man, this is an adolescent, this is young people. And there is elders who disrespect the police too. Mm-hmm. The young is a young man. So we just have to people like you, Junior, as I was saying, people like you need to come to Grenada and go to the schools, go on the block and talk to these young men. Because there isn't much good examples here in this country, I listen, men especially, ladies especially, talking to the way they keep themselves in Grenada, the way they dress, the way they talk around their kids. I make your experience. I went to Union, that's your village, mm-hmm. Saturday, and a young man and an elder man, the man elder than the young man mother, and the young man and the elder man end up in an argument. And Junior, without the mother knowing exactly what happened, the way she went on and that elder man with his son standing there, mm-hmm. What she telling his son? Don't respect this man, Mm-hmm. So men like you and Joel and your other companion there, you guys supposed to look to go to the schools and talk to the young men especially, because they don't have no examples in this country.
Right.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
Yes, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. The real question is, Joel and Dwight, you could come in here. Where are the fathers in this picture right here? I know that there are not enough role models for these kids to emulate, but where are the fathers? Where are the people who could give them some kind of guidance in their life?
And Junior, that was the point I was actually going to come with, and I had to actually take my pen and jot it down because it's such an important point. A lot of our young men in the school system, in the community, in the church, wherever, do not know how to respond to a man in authoritative position because it is absent in their home. They do not know how to respond to a man. So in response to a man in some sort of authoritative position, they respond in anger because the man is absent. And that anger, if you, I'm telling you this, Junior, if you go up to any young man and you say to him, hey, young man, don't do that. Hey, young man, go home. What's the first thing they usually say to you? You are not my father. You're not my father. That's one of the first things they say. And that is one of the societal problems that led to what we see in this video. The fact that there are no fathers in the home to discipline their students, sorry, their children, is the beginning of the problem. And a lot of times, when you look at relationships between a man and a woman, they have a child, and you look at the factors that led to them not being in a relationship again, they are petty. And I oftentimes ask myself, do these parents think about the children and what role the children will play in society? A lot of young people cannot respond to men, both man and woman, both young man and young woman can't respond to men because it's absent in their home. And Junior, the next point I want to make before you move on, somebody actually said to me that this particular young man was arrested and charged and will be taken before the juvenile court. I want to ask the RMPF,
RGPF.
RGPF a question. What message is that sending to our young people? Mind you, as the caller said, they live their life in front of a cell phone. What message is that sending to our young people? That the young man, it's okay for the young man to be arrested and charged, but they cannot say what take place with the officer. If any actions was he spoken to, will he be working on his anger? Because as I said before, and I will say it again, this escalation we're seeing here is not just the young man. It's both sides of the fence. It's the young man and the police. And as numerous callers said, if it is that they wanted to actually defuse the situation, they could have. Because in the video, there is a green van pulled up on the side, and I believe that is a police vehicle. It's pulled up right there. And there are 3 officers. They could have simply lifted the young man, put him in the vehicle, and take him away from the crowd and de-escalate the situation. That didn't happen. Instead, we see slaps passing and this and that's going on there. We need to train our officers to de-escalate situations. But I'm asking the Royal Grenadier Police Force, and I'm not against the young man being charged or whatever the case may be, but then my question to you is, what message is that sending to the young people of our country? Is it okay for the civilian to be arrested and charged, and the police walk away scot-free? I mean, it's just a matter of hours between when the press release will come out. But I believe that press release should have been withheld, until the force decides what they were going to do as it relates to this officer, or all the officers in particular. Are they going to offer training? Are they going to offer whatever? What actions are you taking?
Right. Someone just sent me a message. Yeah. Again, we open up the phone line, guys, to get your input on this topic right here. We're going to go for another 10 or 15 minutes or so if you guys want to call in and put your voice on the record on this. Joel, let's look at solutions. Let's look at what we as fathers, what we as advocates, people in the media, people that is out there, what could we do to help the situation? Where do we start? Like, what do we have to do from this point in? Before you answer, Joel, let me just jump to this next caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead.
Okay, you said something about about both the police and the youth is wrong. Well, I want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
At what part in the video did the police act outside their scope of duty? At what point in this video?
Right. So I guess that's for Dwight. That's for Dwight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he's going to respond. You got to listen to his response on the live. You're not going to hear him on the phone line. Dwight?
Yeah, I want to respond. I will respond. No, as I said, throughout this program, there were many, many ways that this situation could have been de-escalated. You take the young man away from the crowd and away from the prompts and whatever, cheer on from his peers. You take him away. Because as I said earlier, I remember when there were situations like these in St. George's, adults as well as young people, they put them in a van, bring them to Central Police Station, deal with the matter there, right? This could have been avoided. First of all, in the video, you see that one officer apparently scuffed up the young man and pulled him to the side, and the young man began to react to whatever this was happening. And one of the officers left and went to assist. My question is, what did the second officer did to turn the situation? He made the situation even worse. There are ways to de-escalate a situation. I am not saying that the young man is right. I'm not saying that the police is right. What I'm saying is, use whatever methods to de-escalate the situation instead of causing the situation to be what it is.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's jump back to the phone line. We got Kibbs on the line. Kibbs, you're live.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Yes.
Junior, just like everybody else, I just want to chime in that situation. Obviously, like, children is like a passion for me.
Yes.
And every time I see something with children, I always get riled up or very emotional about it. But what I want to say is, in no way, no one's saying that child is correct, yeah? We all have to respect authority equally. We all have to respect each other. And lots of times I hear people talking and they're like, oh, the child have to respect this person and this person should have hit the child and whatever. What about the respect for the child? Isn't the child a person too? Isn't the child a human being too? Doesn't that child go through stress and, daily hassle like everybody else? I mean, we spoke earlier on about how this could be a bigger problem outside of the child and the police. We don't know what the child is experiencing at home. We don't know what the parent is experiencing at home as well, which trickles down to the child. Equally, we don't know what that police is experiencing. And yes, the police should be able to de-escalate situations like that. But are the police really trained? Do we know if the police get training to de-escalate situations like that? Is it a problem where government needs to provide more money and more training to our officers?
Right.
And we have this situation already. Okay, it happened. Now everybody's just blaming somebody else. This push further divide for us,
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do now? Is charging the young man the best step forward? How about we let the young man and the police officer come together and have a chat? Both have a reflection about what happened about the situation and set a precedent where police and young people could work together moving forward,
Right.
Those are things we have to think about because the situation already happened, shouldn't happen. People shouldn't be saying, oh, the police should have boxed down the child more. Really? Is that what you're saying? That's the message we're sending out there? Okay, it happened. Now let's move forward. What are the plans moving forward? What are people's ideas? How can we improve the situation?
Right.
And that's what we need to think about, Junior. I think that's what we need to think about and focus moving forward.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that is the direction that we was going in. I want some ideas on how we could go forward to fix it. Not fix, but at least offer some advice in this situation. What could we do as fathers, as parents, as community advocate in this situation, Joel? What ideas do you have?
Yeah, so some of the things I would actually recommend is mentorship program, right? In which young people can actually be, paired with a mentor, to sort of receive mentorship. What I would also like to see in every parish that we have community libraries being established, so that when school finish, instead of a child having to go behind the mall or go somewhere and idle, they can go and get involved in these community engagement. I would also like to see some of those, like when we used to have young leaders program back in the school, to really get young people involved in those positive activities, even after school programs. Yeah, I would like to see some of those things be established, even resource centers, right? Resource centers. But I would also like to see us get back to the place where we build communities and we build families. Yeah, we build that strong family structure and really provide young people with that proper nurturing and that sort of holistic development. Yeah, so it's okay to send our kids to get, to develop, in terms of academic intelligence, but also exposing young people to social skills, developing their social skills, developing the emotional intelligence skills, so that they themselves also as young people can be able to manage those sort of situations. Because as I said, it's the law of human nature. Sometimes you're placed in a situation and sometimes there's a emotional outburst. But if you develop yourself and you develop the right emotional intelligence skills, then you'll be able to navigate through those situations. So I think it's important that we really understand that it is part of a broader societal issue. We also have to look at the fact that some of the homes that some of those young people are coming out from, they're coming out from homes where they're seeing their parent or their father abusing their mother. So they believe the best way to deal with a situation is through aggression and through violence because that is what they see. There was one psychologist who says you cannot be what you cannot see. Children tend to model behavior. So it could be a situation where he believes the only way to handle a situation where you're faced with those sort of embarrassment is to react violently because that is what he saw. So how do we as parents ensure that children are not exposed to those level of domestic violence in the home? Because aggressive behavior is something that is taught. It's things that kids learn. Is what they see, is what they are exposed to. And also the presence of community leaders. Also people who may have certain skill set, volunteering. Where are the people where are the people who used to volunteer once upon a time, get involved in community, teaching different classes, you know, really contributing to stronger communities. Some of us, we have become professionals, we have our career, we focus on our families, and we are good. So we don't care what is happening out there. We don't care if that child out there is having difficulty at home, cannot afford to go to school. Junior, just one scenario I want to share. I know this young man, he had to leave school at the age of 15, right? To go on to go and work to take care of his mom and his siblings in the absence of his father. He left school without a formal education, right? In the process, he got into the life of hustling and got involved in a life of violence and ended up in prison. And when we were having that conversation, I said, could you imagine if someone in the community recognized what was happening and was able to step in and provide some support to that family, and that young man did not have to leave school to take care of his mother and take care of his siblings and really develop himself in the right way? That could have been avoided. So this is the reality that is happening across our country. Young people have to leave home to go and hustle, to go and fend for their family, and sometimes in so doing, they get involved in activities that is not, not is not in the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. Dwight, how could we? What's your ideas in what we could do? Solutions now, as media practitioners, personalities. What could we do to help with the situation? Because I'm all in. I wanna, if it means that we have to raise some money to create some kind of uh, mentorship program for the youths, even if we save 5 kids, or even if we have 20 kids that we could help, give them some financial support so they could do some activities or whatever. I'm all in. I just want advice and ideas on what we could do. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. What's your idea, Dwight? What do you think we could do?
Well, let me just say, multi-sectoral approach needs to be taken on matters like these. We need to engage every level and sectors of society to have a discussion. Um, I think at this junction, we need to move into implementation. There have been a lot of and as I have said earlier, nothing that is happening today should surprise any one of us. Um, it was coming. We have seen the rise in teenage pregnancy in the late 90s, early 20th. Um, and we know that those children will one day grow up. Did they receive the level of support and development and discipline that people like myself and Joel have received? Um, you know, have and I think one of the troubling thing about it is that society has really given up. We have said, um, I can't be bothered with these young people no more, and these young people this, and these young people that, and even in the comment section tonight, I'm appalled to see the amount of people that just say, "Oh, the young man did, the young man that, the young man the other." If this is the approach that we are going to take, and I love, as I say, I love to be the controversial one. If this is the approach that we are going to take, we are failing our young people again. We're failing them again. We need to stop blaming and start implementing. And you said, what can be done? What can be done is that we can encourage people in our communities. And I know that it's not an easy task. It's an uphill battle. But if you see a young person doing something wrong, it owe it to your morals. It owe it to the parents who raised you to say something. Even if you don't want to say something directly to the child for fear that the parent is going to retaliate, go to the parents. Say, listen, I see this, that. Leave it to their conscience. They may react bad in the spur of the moment. They may feel embarrassed. They may not have the intellectual capacity to handle what is being given to them. But I assure you, at some point, they are going to sit down and think. And they're going to say to themselves, listen, what that person said is right. What that person says. We cannot make decision from a place where, of a place of not knowing. Decisions are made from a place of knowledge. And if the lack there of knowledge, if there's a lack of knowledge, then what are you making decisions from? And that is the reason why I said we're setting a very bad precedent by charging the student and not saying what is going to happen with the officer. Because at the end of the day, slapping someone else's chest or cuffing them or whatever it is that happened in the video, because everybody say we ain't watching the same video. Whatever it is, cannot be the way we handle and deal with situations. Cannot be. It cannot be the precedents that we are leaving for our next generation. Cannot be.
Right.
And,
we have. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought, Dwight.
Yeah, we have raised our children by disciplining them with a belt and a whip, and that have saved some, but we have lost some in using the same method. And what I'm saying is, just the same way, and final thought, Junior, just the same way that in the classroom, there are those who are versed in academia and they are versed in skill. There are children who beating will have no effect on. You need to find and figure out other means of reaching those children. And when you do that, when you reach that point, then we are going to see a change. But if we're going to continue to blame our young people, if we're going to continue to say that they're bad, if we're going to continue to give up on them and continue to give up on them, we are going to lose more generations. We need to stop. We need to re-examine. We need to relook, and we need to figure out solutions that are applicable to this 21st century.
Yeah, point well taken there. Let's take this last call and get Joel's final comment, and then we'll wrap it up. Caller, live, where are you calling us from?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. No, I'm calling from Brooklyn.
Yes.
I share the same sentiments with that young man that just spoke.
Right, yes.
Because for me watching that video, I saw a young man trying to explain himself also. Like he was trying to argue. I'm not sure arguing, but he walked away from the situation.
Right.
And the officer should have let him, because I know back in the days, like people they would let you walk away because you know what school that young man going to.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have let it be, because the situation with everybody around, it was building up the momentum for something to happen, whereas the officer would have felt embarrassed because he walked away. And, by blocking him, he was trying to block him. So that angered that young man more. To me, if I'm looking at it this way, if the officer had let him walk away, where he goes to school, visit the school, right? Speak to the principal, get the parents involved, see how you can go about building a relationship, with the young man, and probably going to the assembly hall, speaking to the kids, explaining the situation. I think it could have been handled better because we don't know how people's mental capacity is at times. We don't know what he was going through. People talking about lack of respect. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with the parents, nothing to do with how he was brought up. We don't know. We don't know how he felt, but at the same time, he chose to walk away from the situation. Probably not him being disrespectful because he was trying not to. And if he had committed a crime, but officers detained him, that would have been. We don't know.
Right.
But the officer's action, to me, it was not called for because that kid tried to walk away from that situation. Let him be.
Right.
You understand? Let
Okay.
him be. Then go to the school. You have a division in the police force that deals with kids. Go speak to them. Say, listen, I have a young man from such and such school. I don't know him. Let's interview and see where his mind is at, how he's doing in school. Like community policing. That's what
Right.
it should have been to me.
Right.
And like instead of bashing him and going on, he's gonna feel in a way he's a young man. Mentally, society's breaking him down instead of actually trying to help.
Okay.
And I have boys, I have kids, and that's how I see it. So
Thank you,
that's my
caller.
point.
Thank you, Brooklyn. We appreciate you. Let's take a last, final call, and that call comes in from Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad, go right ahead.
I'm not from Trinidad, from Jamaica.
Okay, Jamaica. Sorry, Jamaica. We lost our Jamaican caller. The phone line just went there. Joel, final words.
Junior, and just following the comments based on this whole situation, it says that we is not just a problem with our young people, but it's a problem with our adults. It's not easy being a young person in a society today. It's not easy being a young person in a society today. Young people have to grapple with a lot of different things. We represent the largest demographic in the society. Youth represent that. They're the ones mostly affected by poverty, by social injustice. They're affected by a lot of pressure, even including social media pressure, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And what this young man did was wrong. It was a mistake. As you said, he could have been avoided. He could have felt embarrassed. He could have been dealing with low self-esteem and being placed in that situation. There's a lot of things that could have possibly happened. And I think what we need is to not really, really pull this young man down, but really to provide some sort of support to him and maybe some sort of counseling and sort of mentorship or some guidance. You understand? And I think that can actually help. But we have to look at this thing from a really broad perspective. We need to really get our young people involved in positive alternatives. We need to get them to put their creative energy to use, right? Which will help to build their confidence. Because the more a young person succeed and excel in community initiative, in sports, in academia, and their confidence builds. They feel better about themselves. They are able to develop. They're able to mature holistically, right? So I think we really need to get involved. But even some parents, even some of our adults, we also have to be influencers to our young people. We have to be young people that they want to model themselves after. I remember, as I said, I always use that example. There were people in my community when I was a young boy that I said I wanted to model myself after. I wanted to be like Mr. X or Mr. Y. You understand? There were heroes in your community. The reason I got involved in football as a little boy is because there were people who I looked up to and they played football. So I wanted to be on the football pitch. You understand? And I was able to go on to play football for the national team, and they were the first to be there to show their support. Yeah. I am playing my part. I had a mentorship program, as I said the last time, in SAB. It was a youth risk community and was able to transform that community using that youth program. Right. When I used to serve as a car community ambassador program, I used to do a lot of focus group discussions, bringing young people together. We used to even have cultural day events where young people come and display their different cultural talents and stuff, right? We need to be able to really empower young people. We need to really do so and help to build their confidence, build their self-esteem. They are ready, Junior, a lot of young people, they go on social media and they're comparing themselves with their friends. Oh, she posts a photo, she get 10 likes. He posts a photo, he get 100 likes. And they're feeling that they're inferior. They're feeling that they're not good enough. So being placed in a situation that further emphasize that, there's a level of anger, right? There's a level of anger. They're really searching for their identity. So we have to help them up. We have to encourage them. We have to say, tough luck. You got it wrong. I know this is not who you are. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to support you. I'm willing to encourage you. I'm willing to be a friend to you. Sometimes just as all young people need to hear. So we all have a role, and it's a collective effort. It's not just his family or his community. It takes in all of us as a people to build a better society, that we all would be proud of. And we all have, we cannot say it's not my child, so let me criticize him. Because you know what happened? The next video, you might be criticizing this young man today, but the next video that might be on social media, it might be your child. What would you say in a situation like that? So I'm looking at some of these people who are talking, who are commenting. I hope it's not your child that's facing a similar situation like that in the future. And if it does, I want to see if you're going to respond the same way. We have to realize these things can hit home. So let us look at it from a broad perspective and let us all be part of the solution, not just attacking and further, grinding this young man into the dirt. You understand? But let's help build him up.
Yeah. Point well taken right there. Joel, Dwight, it's always good having this
Junior,
conversation.
just before you go, the point to of this particular child, I want to let you know that you have our support. And if ever you need anybody to talk to, get in contact with Junior, and I'm sure that either one of us will be able to provide some sort of support. I don't know if you're a single mother or you are a nuclear family, but whatever it is, feel free, because that's how we grow as a community. And whatever it is that is going on with this child, if he needs the help, never be afraid to ask for it. It might do him good in the future.
Yeah, I think, and it would help out us all, everyone. Even if we help one family, if we even help one youth, I think we did our job as social advocates. So, Joel, thank you so much. Dwight, thank you so much. Always good having this conversation with you guys.
It's always a pleasure, Junior. And keep up the good work. Keep up the good work yourself.
Thank you, man. And I'm proud. I was telling you guys earlier that I'm proud to have managing things on the broadcast master control and Mr. Jacoby. Let me introduce you guys to Jacoby. Kobe, you want to show your face? Come. He is an aspiring broadcaster, right? He's getting ready to go to college very soon, and he is the one that's managing all the goodies over there, putting all the chats up, and he's doing well. My big son, Jacoby George, right? Big up yourself, Kobe. Love you. So I love that he's here because it gets me to prove my point. And this is an appeal for fathers, right? This is an appeal for fathers out there. Fathers, you are very important in your child's life. This may not have anything to do with this particular story right here, but we see it and we hear about it. When you have a single family and you don't have that fatherly figure there, guys, you have more of an opportunity for a statistic of that child. Fathers have a very important role to play in kids' life. So men, step up to the plate. Don't just think that you don't have a responsibility after that child was born. You was there during conception and then you just not, you are absent. It's important that fathers play their role. And not only be there to drop money or give the kid some there's material things. The biggest thing that you could give to a child is your time, your love, a hug. And oftentimes men are so scared to tell their children that they love them. You know, we're so homophobic. We live in that homophobic society. So when a man tell his son that you love them, some people feel awkward about it because of how we grew up. But it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Because a lot of young boys never heard their parents told them that they love them. And that is a problem. So we need more men playing that fatherly role in their child's life. And we are going to be doing something. I spoke to my producer, Lynn, and we are planning to do some kind of symposium to see how we can help families. First, try to understand the problem. And this is our NGO move. This is not looking at government to figure out what the problem is, because we're going to wait forever. Everybody looking for votes right now. We are looking for no votes. We're looking to try to fix the problem. We're trying to isolate the problem and find solution and put things in place to fix and help the situation. So we are going to be doing a number of things on our end, on Ride Along end. All we ask of you guys is support. Share, if you could donate, if you could support, whatever it is, because we are going to really do something. And even if we able to help 10 youths in the community, let me tell you, we do a lot. Hence the reason why last year we set we did a program where we gave funds for people who have business ideas. Come up with your business ideas, propose it to us, and we give up over $5,000 US dollars to get people to think about entrepreneurship, to get their mind off of running around on the street and getting themselves involved in all this kind of miscellaneous stuff. Think about building a business. All these different initiatives are important initiatives to get the kids and their mind focused on their future. But it comes down to the family. It comes down to the family, the mothers, the fathers being present, giving off your time, being there is very, very important. Very, very important. So I call on fathers to step up to the plate, man. Step up to the plate and be a father, not just a sperm donor. Be a father. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sharing. And of course, we appeal to you guys. If you enjoy this program and this programming that we have here on Ride Along, please support. Please become a supporter of this platform. There is a little link right there you could click. Just click that link. It will tell you all how you can become a supporter, so we could continue to do more in our community. That's why we're here. That's why we are here. Everyone have a story to tell. And when someone come and they share their story and we deal with an issue, you are basically paying it forward, because you never know when you would have a situation where you would need us to speak up and stand up for you. So we urge, we beg, we plead for your support. Click that link and become a supporter today. It will help us. It will help our community tremendously. The more we have, the more we could do. If we don't have nothing, we can't do nothing, but we want to do a lot. We have big aspirations. We have big aspirations to do big things. Yeah. Esther, that's a good point. And our producer, Lois JJ, she's watching and she's taking notes of all the ideas. We want ideas. We want ideas in what we could do. And we're gonna move forward in helping. And this is not a reactive move. People say, "Oh, you guys only react to certain things when something come up." No, this is very proactive, because it would stop the next situation from happening. We have to act to stop the next situations from happening. And not when something come up, then we make a big hoopla about it. No, this is things that we have been working on from day one. Implementing programs, initiatives, ideas to help families. That's why we are family-oriented program. That's what we do. That's why we're here. Right Along Live, everyone have a story to tell. We love you. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. For my Master Control, right in the corner over there, taking care of things, Mr. Jacoby George. My executive producer, Lois JJ, doing a great job. My moderator, Lynn. Kibbs, Deanne Fraser, and Gail. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for supporting. We love you guys. Don't forget to go out right there and become a supporter today. It's very, very important that you guys click that link and become a supporter of Ride Along Live. Click that link right now, man. I want to see 10 more supporters by the end of the evening. I want to see 10 more supporters. 10 more supporters. It only costs you $4.99. $4.99. And you are a bona fide supporter. You get your badge and you have bragging rights. You're a supporter. You could dictate how we run things on here. Click that link and become a supporter. We thank you guys so much. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.
Grenadians, you asked for change, and we are bringing the change. Change is a we thing, but change requires a contribution from all of us. Remember, one cocoa fills the basket. Make a contribution to NDC's grassroots campaign for change today. Click the link below to make your contribution. Thank you.
Do you feel sick? Are you unsure? Or need to travel, but can't afford the long, exhausting lines? Then you need to be tested for COVID-19. Here at All Pro Health Lab, you can schedule your appointment online. No wait, no lines, no hassle. And get your results back in 30 minutes or less. Call now to find out more. 516-828-1808. Our agents are always ready to help. Hear why everyone is talking about All Pro Lab. It's quick, efficient, and tests are guaranteed in 30 minutes or less with full certification. Check us out online at allprolab.com or call 516-828-1808. All Pro Health Lab. Call today.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Get your PCR test in 30 minutes or less. Visit www.allprolab.com.
Hello there. Let me introduce you to the Nutmeg Band. Playing in the background is the latest release, Take Me to a Party. Take me to a party. This music is now available on leading online stores. So please, pick up your copy today and tell all your friends about it. Get your copy now.